Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Red Donkey Projections. I'm Lucas, and today we'll be taking a look at my prediction for the Joe Biden versus Ron DeSantis possibility in 2024. Again, Eric is out this week, so I'll be going it alone for a couple episodes. But this is what seems to be the most likely possibility so far should Joe Biden run for re-election, and if Trump does not choose to run in 2024, although to be quite honest, from what's been happening so far, it does look pretty likely that he does end up running again, which will be interesting. But so far, I've plotted out here the states that require no explaining that are either likely or safe. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So I could quickly mention Alaska. We moved it to likely because the margins there are narrowing. I think the same pattern will trend that way. Mississippi is also likely due to that large African American vote, which can boost Joe Biden. The same for South Carolina. So we do believe that those will be below 15 points. Our margins, just a reminder, is that a safe is 15 points or higher, likely is 5 to 15, lean is 1 to 5, and tilt is less than 1. So let's get started here. We'll start off with the likely states or districts. The first one is Nebraska's 2nd district. This is a very condensed area of a bachelor degree or higher educated, college educated voters. And as a result, those voters do tend to go to the Democratic candidate a lot. And that's exactly what happened in 2020. Where Joe Biden carried this district by around 7 points. Although I do believe Ron DeSantis will do better in suburbs compared to Donald Trump, I don't think Nebraska 2 will be changing all that much. The next state is Colorado. It's basically long gone for Republicans at this point. It's trended greatly to the left. Even, counties like El Paso County, which contains Colorado Springs, has also been trending to the left, which is why, Biden won it by 13 points. I expect it to be maybe 14 points this time, potentially even higher if other things go on. And I do want to mention this is a very early prediction, so please don't take this all that seriously yet, but I'm just using all the info we know so far. New Mexico, I believe, will actually vote to the right of Colorado. I think that the Hispanics there potentially could cause a slight shift to the right because Joe Biden hasn't done too well with Hispanics so far. And we saw this in 2020. Colorado voted to the left of New Mexico. The same could apply if he were to go against Ron DeSantis. So we'll be keeping this one as likely D. The next state would be, let's head to Minnesota. So this one's interesting because I was debating between lean or likely D. I think I'm going to stick with likely. I would say it's around 5 points, but like on the borderline between lean and likely because compared to Joe Biden, compared to Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis won't get those high rural numbers as he did because Donald Trump does very well in rural areas compared to past presidential candidates. However, Ron DeSantis will do better in the suburbs. So I do think those things kind of balance out in Minnesota. So I would be keeping this one as likely R. But I do think Minnesota could be trending to the right slightly because of those rural areas that Democrats need to be a little bit cautious about in the future. Iowa, Ohio, again, although Ron DeSantis will do worse in rurals compared to Donald Trump, he will still probably win them in a likely margin. Democrats have really not done that well in these rural areas anymore. In 2008, 2012, how did Obama win? He got very good numbers in the rural areas. 2016, 2020, Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton did not do a good job in getting those high rural numbers. Now is the state of Virginia, which has also trended a lot to the left. It voted 10 points to Biden in 2020. And I expect this to go even more to the left in 2024 against Ron DeSantis because that Northern Virginia area up here containing Jennifer Wexton's district has trended a lot to the to the left, these suburbs there, I believe they are also very highly college educated, which does typically do well for the Democrats. So Virginia will stay as likely. The next state, let's head now to Maine second. I also think this will remain as a likely compared to 2020. I think that Ron DeSantis will win it by a little bit less, but he'll still win it in a pretty decent margin, and statewide that would average to a likely. So let's head now into our lean states. The first one is Nevada. Clark County does look like it is trending to the right a bit according to those voter registration numbers, but I still think it will probably stay in the lean range. We predicted in 2020 it'd be likely, ended up being 2.6 points, which honestly weren't expecting too much. But Ron DeSantis could be doing pretty well in the rural areas, even if it's not good as Donald Trump. I do think that it would remain in this area. In the first flip, let's go to Arizona. I do believe Ron DeSantis would win Arizona by probably a tilt margin. I think Ron DeSantis is seen more as an establishment figure, perhaps. Well, I don't want to say that, but he is more connected to the establishment type figure compared to Donald Trump, which perhaps Arizonans might like more. And the other thing is the type of campaign Ron DeSantis runs. Maybe he learns from Donald Trump's lesson of not bashing John McCain, which obviously led to very bad numbers in Arizona. We saw 10% of Republicans actually crossing over to vote for Joe Biden. They really do like those traditional Republicans here. I do think that in some of the suburbs surrounding Phoenix, perhaps, Ron DeSantis would do better there, which is why I do believe this one would probably flip to Ron DeSantis. The next state is Georgia. I actually do think Georgia will stay with Joe Biden at a tilt margin. I think that the Atlanta suburbs there, Cobb County, I do think that Joe Biden will be able to secure pretty good numbers there. Even in the rural areas, which do tend to vote very Republican, I don't think Ron DeSantis will get as good numbers as Donald Trump got there, which makes me believe that Georgia will end up staying with Joe Biden. I know it's very strange to see, me putting Georgia blue and Arizona red, but I do believe that's what's going to happen. The state of Florida is interesting. I was also debating on this one a lot. I think it comes down to Hispanic numbers. Ron DeSantis actually did decently with Hispanic numbers in his 2018, where I believe the split was like 55-45, according to the New York Times. I think if he's able to get those Hispanic numbers again, that would play very well for him in Florida. The news is that in 2022, they have an election there. So this could be a possible test run of maybe how well can he do with Hispanics in Florida. I still do expect Biden to do pretty well in the suburbs there in Duval, for example. Perhaps St. Lucia, I believe that's the name of the county. Correct me, St. Lucia. I do think that Ron DeSantis, however, will end up getting this one in a likely, because that name recognition in Florida, perhaps most Republicans do view him pretty favorably. Perhaps they turn out more for him. And also, I said Joe Biden would do well, but I don't think he would do as well as he did in 2020 because the suburbs reversion. Joe Biden's good with suburbs, but Donald Trump was very bad with suburbs. In this case, Ron DeSantis would do better compared to Donald Trump in those suburban areas. Texas. I'm moving this one from likely R from the 2020 election to lean R. Now, Donald Trump got pretty good numbers in the southern Texas, like in the Rio Grande Valley area. However, I do think that the Hispanics might not vote as much for Ron DeSantis in the state of Texas. I don't think he does better with minority votes compared to Donald Trump. As a result, with Joe Biden continuing to do well in the suburban areas, not as well as maybe in 2020, but he's still going to do quite well in those suburban areas like Houston suburbs that traditionally are Republican. That's going to move the state to a closer margin. The state of New Hampshire. I believe Joe Biden will still win it, but it still will be in the lean. I think Ron DeSantis will do better in the suburban areas in New Hampshire. Joe Biden won by like 7 points, which is quite impressive. I didn't expect it to be that high, but I think that he would still win, but in a lesser margin. State of Pennsylvania, I'm moving this one to tilt compared to lean and voted in 2020. And the reason for this is because Ron DeSantis will do better in those Philadelphia suburbs. Perhaps you won't get as great numbers in Philadelphia itself compared to Donald Trump. I believe Philadelphia swung like 5 points to the right, but Joe Biden won because all the suburbs surrounding Philadelphia swung to the left. And as a result, if Ron DeSantis is able to lessen those swings in the Philadelphia suburbs, I believe this margin would go below 1 point, but Joe Biden would still win it. Michigan now, I do believe Joe Biden will still win Michigan, probably also in a tilt. And the reason for this is because perhaps that minority population could be turning out more to vote for Joe Biden. And I don't think Ron DeSantis will do as well with those minority voters in Michigan. Now, the rural areas could be a slight concern for Democrats here, which is why I did not put this one as lean. But I don't think Ron DeSantis will be able to get as great numbers as Donald Trump did get in these rural areas in these more northern states. The state of North Carolina, I do think Ron DeSantis will still win this, probably in a lean again, just like Donald Trump did, but probably in a slightly less margin, depending on how well he does in those urban areas. But for now, it will be lean. And the final state we have here is the state of Wisconsin. Now, I did go back and forth on this one, but I do believe Wisconsin will end up going to Ron DeSantis. To be quite honest, first of all, I don't really trust the polling here that any might come out, that might come out soon. But I'm going with a tilt here because I do believe he'll do better in some of the suburban areas in the state compared to what Donald Trump got. Plus, I do believe he will hang on to those white working class voters as well as those more rural areas. Joe Biden did do better with white working class voters compared to Hillary Clinton in 2016, 2020. But I don't think it will be enough against Ron DeSantis to hold on to those voters in these Midwestern states. And that wraps up the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you like our content, please subscribe. And again, our final total, Joe Biden ends up winning re-election compared to Ron DeSantis, who got 256. So we'll see you in our next episode tomorrow. See ya.